The crystal towers of the royal palace on Lumeria sparkled under the light of 3 moons. Inside these gleaming walls, Princess Zayla sat alone in her chambers, away from the eyes of the court. She looked at her thin arms and sighed. While other Lumerians stood tall with glowing skin that hardened like armor when needed, Zayla's skin barely shimmered. Her frame was small, her muscles weak compared to her people. "Princess," a servant knocked at her door. "The Emperor requests your presence." Zayla smoothed her royal robes and walked to the throne room. Each step echoed in the vast hall made of living crystal. Her father, Emperor Xorin, towered on his throne. His skin glowed bright blue with power. "The Draken ships have been spotted near our outer colonies," Emperor Xorin announced to his war council. "They will reach Lumeria within 2 cycles." The generals pounded their chests, their skin hardening to show their readiness for battle. Zayla stood quietly behind a column, watching. She knew what would come next. "My daughter," the Emperor said, finally noticing her. The room fell silent. Everyone knew about the princess who lacked the strength of her people. "Come forward." Zayla walked to the throne, keeping her head high despite the pitying looks from the council members. "You will leave tonight," her father said. "Commander Pell will take you to the sanctuary moon. You will be safe there until the war ends." "Father, I can help here," Zayla said softly. "I have studied our defenses. I have ideas about." The Emperor raised his hand, stopping her words. "Your mind is sharp, but this is a time for warriors. The royal blood must be protected, even in its weaker vessels." A general coughed to hide his laugh. Zayla felt her face grow hot, but she bowed her head. This was not new. All her life, she had been hidden away, a secret shame to the royal family. That night, Zayla boarded the small transport ship. The vessel was sleek but built for speed, not battle. Commander Pell and 3 guards would take her to the sanctuary moon, far from the coming war. "We will enter light jump soon, Princess," Pell said. "It should be a smooth journey." But the stars had other plans. As their ship prepared to jump, alarms blared through the cabin. "Draken scouts," a guard shouted. "They've found us." The ship rocked as enemy fire hit their shields. Commander Pell pushed Zayla into a safety pod. "Stay here, Princess," he ordered before rushing to help his crew. Through the pod's small window, Zayla watched in horror as the Draken ship closed in. Her people fought bravely, but they were outnumbered. A massive blast hit their engine, sending the ship spinning out of control. Emergency lights flashed as the ship entered a planet's atmosphere. Fire surrounded the hull as they fell faster and faster. Zayla heard the crew shouting commands, trying to control their descent. The impact threw her against the pod wall. Everything went black. When Zayla opened her eyes, smoke filled the cabin. The ship had crashed in a forest of tall green trees unlike any on Lumeria. Through a crack in the hull, she could see a blue sky. "Commander," she called out, crawling from her pod. No one answered. Bodies lay around the control room, her guards, the crew all still. Commander Pell's hand still gripped the controls, his once glowing skin now dark and lifeless. Zayla was alone. Pain shot through her leg as she limped to the ship's computer. The screen flickered with a map of her location. 3rd planet of a yellow star system. Local name, Earth. A distress signal was sending, but with the damage to the ship, Zayla wasn't sure if anyone would hear it. She looked out at the strange forest around the crash site. Tall trees swayed in the wind. The air was thick and rich, unlike the thin atmosphere of home. Blood trickled down her face as she stepped out of the broken ship. Her weak legs gave way, and she collapsed onto the soft ground of this unknown world, hoping someone would find her before the Draken scouts returned to finish their work. Jack Miller hiked through the pine forest, enjoying the quiet of the mountains. After leaving the Marines 3 years ago, he found peace in these woods. The morning air was cool against his face as he followed the trail, his heavy backpack filled with camping gear. Then he saw it, A line of broken trees leading down the hillside. Smoke rose in the distance. "What the hell?" Jack muttered, changing direction to follow the path of destruction. The smell hit him first, burning metal and strange chemicals. Then he saw the crashed ship, unlike anything he had ever seen. It gleamed with a blue-white metal that no Earth engineer had created. Jack approached carefully, his old military training kicking in. The ship had torn a deep cut into the forest floor. Part of it was buried in dirt, but a section remained open, revealing a strange control room inside. "Hello," he called out. "Anyone alive in there?" No answer came. Jack climbed over a fallen tree and peered into the ship. His breath caught in his throat. Bodies were scattered inside, but they weren't human. Their skin had a faint glow, even in death. They were tall, with features almost like humans, but not quite. "My God," he whispered. A soft sound made him turn. Outside the ship, lying on the forest floor, was another figure. This one was smaller than the others, and unlike them, it was moving. Jack rushed over and knelt beside the injured alien. It looked female, with delicate features and pale blue skin that shimmered faintly in the sunlight. Her eyes fluttered open, large eyes with purple irises that took up most of the space where whites would be on a human. She jerked back in fear when she saw him. "It's okay," Jack said, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "I want to help you." The alien spoke, but the words made no sense to Jack. Her language sounded like crystal bells ringing. She tried to move away, but pain made her gasp and grab her leg. "You're hurt," Jack said. He pointed to her injured leg, then to his first aid kit. "I can help." Slowly, the alien seemed to understand. She stopped trying to escape and watched as Jack opened his medical kit. "My name is Jack," he said, pointing to himself. "Jack." The alien touched her chest. "Zayla," she said clearly. "Zayla," Jack repeated with a nod. "Nice to meet you, though I wish it were under better circumstances." He cleaned and bandaged her leg wound, noticing how her blood had a slight glow to it. Zayla watched his every move with curious eyes. Night was falling. The temperature would drop soon, and Zayla was clearly not dressed for Earth weather. Jack built a shelter using branches and his tarp, then started a small fire. "You'll be safe here," he said, though he knew she couldn't understand him. "Tomorrow we'll figure out what to do." Over the next few days, something strange happened. Zayla began to understand English. At first, she just repeated words after Jack. By the third day, she was forming simple sentences. "How is this possible?" Jack asked when she told him her name meant star singer in her language. "Neural adaptation," Zayla explained in halting English. "My people learn fast. Brain connects to new patterns." On the fifth day, as they sat by the fire, Zayla told Jack who she was. "I am Princess of Lumeria," she said. "My father is Emperor. I was sent away because war is coming, because I am weak." "Weak?" Jack asked, looking at how quickly she had healed, how fast she had learned his language. Zayla nodded sadly. "Lumerians are strong warriors. Skin becomes hard like metal. I cannot do this well. I am shame to my family." Jack shook his head, not understanding how this intelligent being could be considered weak. He had seen how quickly she adapted to Earth, how she observed and learned everything around her. "Where I come from," Jack said slowly, "strength isn't just about muscle or armor. It's about here." He tapped his head. "And here." He touched his heart. Zayla tilted her head, considering his words. For the first time since the crash, a small smile appeared on her face. 2 weeks passed since the crash. Jack had moved Zayla to his cabin deeper in the woods, away from hiking trails where someone might spot her. The small wooden house had just one bedroom, which Jack gave to Zayla while he slept on the couch. One morning, Jack watched as Zayla tried to lift a bucket of water. Her thin arms shook with the effort. "On my planet," she said, putting the bucket down, "children can lift things much heavier." Jack walked over, and sat beside her on the porch steps. "But you move faster than anyone I've ever seen. And your mind. The way you learned English in days. That's amazing." Zayla looked at her hands. "These things do not matter in war. Draken are destroying my world now. My people need warriors." Jack was quiet for a moment. Then he stood up. "Come with me," he said. He led her to a clearing behind the cabin. There, he picked up 2 long sticks and handed one to Zayla. "Humans aren't the strongest species on Earth," Jack said. "Bears, gorillas, they could tear us apart. But we became the dominant species because of this." He tapped his head. "And because we learned to fight smart." He demonstrated a basic defensive stance. "Try this." Zayla copied his position, her body naturally finding the right balance. "Good," Jack said. "Now, block my attack." He swung his stick slowly. Zayla moved her stick to block it, but she was too slow. The stick tapped her shoulder. "Again," Jack said. They'd practiced for hours. By sunset, Zayla could block most of Jack's slow attacks, but she grew frustrated. "This is child's play," she said. "You move slow for me." "Everyone starts somewhere," Jack replied. "When I joined the Marines, I couldn't do half the things they asked. But I trained every day." The next morning, they started again. Jack taught Zayla basic punches and kicks. He was surprised by how quickly she learned the movements. Her body might be weak by Lumerian standards, but she was fast, faster than most humans. "Your people focus on strength," Jack explained during a water break. "Humans had to develop different fighting styles for different body types. Someone small and quick fights differently than someone big and strong." Over the next week, they trained from dawn until dusk. Jack showed Zayla how to use an opponent's strength against them, how to strike vulnerable points, how to move efficiently. What amazed Jack most was Zayla's ability to predict his movements. After just 10 days, she could dodge attacks before he even completed them. "How did you know I was going to kick?" he asked after she sidestepped a move he hadn't taught her yet. "I see the muscles tense before you move," Zayla explained. "On Lumeria, this ability is common but not useful. Everyone is too strong, too heavily armored for small strikes." Jack grinned, but against someone who isn't expecting it. 1 month into training, Jack noticed something strange. Zayla's skin occasionally flickered with light when she concentrated hard. "What's happening there?" he asked, pointing to her arm. Zayla looked surprised. "Neural energy conversion. All Lumerians can do this to make skin hard like armor. But mine only flickers. Not strong enough to protect." "Try focusing it differently," Jack suggested. "Not all over, but just where you need it." Zayla closed her eyes. The light gathered at her fist, glowing brighter than Jack had seen before. "Now punch that tree," Jack said, pointing to a pine with soft bark. Zayla struck the tree. Her glowing fist broke through the bark, leaving a small hole. Her eyes widened. "How?" "You were trying to be like other Lumerians, spreading energy all over," Jack explained. "But you have less energy, so you need to use it smarter. Focus it where it counts." That night, as they sat by the fireplace, Zayla looked at her hands with new eyes. "My father said I was born wrong," she said quietly. "But maybe I was just born different." Jack nodded. "Different isn't wrong. It's just—" He searched for the word, an advantage no one recognized yet. Outside the cabin, neither of them noticed the small blinking light on Zayla's crashed ship. The distress signal was still broadcasting across space. 3 months passed. The forest around Jack's cabin had changed from summer green to autumn gold. Inside the cabin, Zayla had changed too. Each morning, Jack and Zayla ran 5 miles through the woods. At first, she had struggled to keep up. Now she often finished ahead of him. "Not bad for someone who's supposed to be weak," Jack said as they cooled down after a run. Zayla smiled. Her once thin arms now showed muscle. She stood straighter, moved with purpose. But the biggest change was in her eyes. They showed confidence. Today we try something new, Jack said, leading her to a cliff face behind the cabin. Climbing. Zayla looked up at the rock wall. My people are not good climbers. Too heavy. Exactly, Jack said. But you're not as heavy as them. Your size can be an advantage. He showed her how to find handholds, where to place her feet. Zayla was hesitant at first, but soon she was moving up the rock face with natural grace. Your fingers are stronger than you think, Jack called up to her. Trust them. Halfway up the cliff, Zayla's foot slipped. She gasped, hanging by just her hands. For a moment, fear crossed her face. Then she remembered her training. She focused her neural energy into her fingers, making them glow with blue light. Her grip tightened, and she found a new foothold. When she reached the top, she looked down at Jack with wonder. No Lumerian could do that, she said. We would be too heavy for the small holds. That's the point, Jack replied. You're not like them, and that's your strength. That afternoon, they practiced with the wooden staffs Jack had made. Zayla moved like water, flowing around Jack's attacks and striking when he least expected it. Good, Jack shouted as she landed a hit on his shoulder. You're using your speed. They had developed a fighting style just for Zayla. Instead of trying to block powerful hits like a Lumerian warrior would, she dodged them. Instead of striking with brute force, she hit pressure points and weak spots. She used her neural energy in short, powerful bursts rather than trying to maintain full-body armor. One evening, as they prepared dinner, Jack asked a question that had been on his mind. Do you miss home? Zayla paused, knife in hand. I miss the crystal forests. The 3 moons. She looked out the window at the Earth's single moon. But I never felt I belonged there. And here? Jack asked. Here I am learning who I really am, she said, not who others want me to be. That night, a sound woke them both, a deep rumbling in the sky. They rushed outside. Above the trees, a dark shape moved against the stars. Large, angular, with lights along its edges. Draken's scout ship, Zayla whispered, her body tensing. Jack grabbed his rifle from inside the cabin. How did they find you? The distress signal, Zayla realized. My ship is still transmitting. A beam of light shot down from the alien craft, scanning the forest. It was moving toward the crash site, but it would pass near the cabin. We should run, Jack said. Zayla looked at the approaching ship, then at Jack. She shook her head. No more running, she said, her voice firm. On Lumeria, I ran because I was weak. But I am not weak anymore. Her hands began to glow with blue light. Jack saw the determination in her eyes and nodded. He checked his rifle. How many do you think are on that ship? He asked. Draken scout ships usually have 4 warriors, Zayla said. Big, strong, armored. They will expect scared prey, not fighters. The scan beam moved closer. Then let's give them a surprise, Jack said with a grim smile. Remember your training. Use their strength against them. Zayla picked up her staff. I am ready. They moved into the trees as the Draken ship began to descend into a nearby clearing. For the first time since coming to Earth, Zayla didn't feel afraid. Whatever came next, she would face it, not as the weak princess she had been told she was, but as the warrior she had become. The Draken ship landed in the clearing. Its metal surface was black with red markings, shaped like a predator ready to strike. A door opened with a hiss of steam. Wait, Jack whispered from their hiding spot among the trees. Let them come to us. 4 figures stepped out. They were massive, nearly 8 feet tall, with thick armor covering their scaly skin. Their heads had bony crests, and their 4-fingered hands ended in sharp claws. Each carried a weapon that glowed with red energy. Life signs detected near the crashed vessel. One Draken growled in a harsh language. Zayla translated for Jack in a hushed voice. They're looking for survivors. Spread out, the leader ordered. Find the Lumerian princess. The Emperor will pay well for her capture. The Draken warriors moved into the forest, 2 heading toward the crash site, 2 coming toward the cabin. Jack and Zayla stayed low, waiting for the right moment. When one Draken warrior passed their hiding spot, Jack nodded to Zayla. She sprang into action, moving faster than human eyes could follow. Her staff struck the back of the warrior's knee joint, a weak point in Draken armor that she had learned about from Jack's tactical training. The warrior stumbled but didn't fall. He turned with a roar, swinging his weapon at where Zayla had been, but she had already moved. She darted around him, striking at joints and pressure points while staying out of his reach. Meanwhile, Jack aimed his rifle at the second warrior, hitting the alien's weapon hand. The shot didn't penetrate the tough skin, but it caused the Draken to drop his weapon. The warrior charged at Jack, who rolled aside at the last second. The Draken crashed into a tree, giving Jack time to circle behind and strike at the back of the alien's neck with the butt of his rifle. Zayla continued her dance around her opponent. Each time the Draken swung, she wasn't there. She focused her neural energy into quick, powerful strikes. Blue light flashed from her hands as she hit the same weak point repeatedly. Finally, the warrior's knee buckled. As he fell, Zayla leaped onto his back and pressed her glowing fingers to a nerve cluster at the base of his skull. The Draken froze, then collapsed. "Jack," she called out, seeing him struggling with his opponent. She tossed her staff. Jack caught it and used it to block a powerful blow from the Draken. The alien's strength nearly knocked him over, but Jack used the momentum to swing the staff around and strike the warrior's temple. The Draken staggered, giving Jack enough time to hit him again, harder. The warrior fell unconscious beside his comrade. "The other 2 will be coming," Zayla said, breathing hard. Before they could plan their next move, a bright light flooded the clearing. Another ship descended from the night sky, larger than the Draken vessel, with sleek lines and blue-white metal that gleamed like crystal. "Lumerian," Zayla whispered, her eyes wide. The ship landed next to the Draken vessel. Its door opened, revealing tall figures with glowing skin, warriors in full battle armor. At their head stood a commander whose armor was adorned with royal symbols. "Commander Vex," Zayla said in surprise. The Lumerian warriors quickly surrounded the remaining Draken scouts who had run back to the clearing when they saw the new ship. The fight was brief and one-sided. The Lumerians' hardened skin deflected Draken weapons while their own weapons cut through Draken armor. When the battle ended, Commander Vex approached Zayla. He looked down at her with surprise in his glowing eyes. "Princess Zayla," he said, bowing slightly, "we detected your distress signal. We feared you were dead." Zayla stood tall, though she barely reached his chest. "As you can see, Commander, I am very much alive." Vex's eyes moved to Jack, who stood beside her with the staff still in his hands. "And this creature?" Vex asked, his tone dismissive. "This is Jack Miller," Zayla said firmly. "A human. He saved my life and taught me to fight." Commander Vex laughed. "Taught you to fight? What could this small being teach a Lumerian about combat?" Zayla's eyes flashed. "More than you know." She gestured to the unconscious Draken warriors. "Those 2 are still alive. Commander, can your warriors say the same about the ones they faced?" Vex looked at the fallen Draken, then back at Zayla with new interest. "Your father sent us to find you," he said. "The war goes badly. The Draken use new tactics our warriors don't understand." He hesitated. "Perhaps it is time for new ideas." Zayla looked at Jack, then back at Commander Vex. "I will return," she said, "but Jack comes with me. My father must hear what we have learned together." Jack had never seen anything like Lumeria. The planet gleamed like a jewel, with crystal cities that caught the light of 3 suns. As the ship landed at the royal palace, he stood beside Zayla at the viewing window. "It's beautiful," he said. "It is," Zayla agreed, but her face showed worry. "My father will not be pleased that I brought you." The palace was enormous, with towers that reached toward the sky. Guards with glowing skin lined the entrance. They stared at Jack with open curiosity as he walked beside Zayla. The throne room was filled with Lumerian nobles and warriors. Their skin shimmered with different colors: blue, purple, green, showing their rank and family line. Emperor Xorin sat on a crystal throne, his skin glowing bright gold with power. "Father," Zayla said, bowing low, "I have returned." Emperor Xorin's eyes widened. He stood up slowly, his massive frame towering over everyone. "Zayla," he said, his voice deep and surprised. "You are different." Indeed she was. The shy princess who had left was gone. In her place stood a confident warrior, her posture strong, her eyes clear and direct. "And you bring an alien creature into our sacred halls?" the emperor asked, looking at Jack with distaste. Before Zayla could answer, alarms blared throughout the palace. A general rushed into the throne room. "Emperor, the Draken have breached our outer defenses." They approached the city. The room erupted in chaos. The emperor shouted orders, sending warriors to battle stations. Screens around the throne room showed Draken ships moving through Lumeria's skies. "How?" Emperor Xorin demanded. "Our shield wall is impenetrable." "They found a way through," the general said. "Their ships are smaller, faster than before. They target weak points we didn't know existed." Zayla stepped forward. "Father, the Draken have changed their tactics. They no longer rely only on strength. They use speed and strategy now." "And what would you know of battle, daughter?" the emperor asked coldly. A loud explosion shook the palace. The lights flickered. Guards ran to protect the emperor. "The palace is under attack," someone shouted. "Draken warriors have entered the east wing." The emperor looked shocked. No enemy had ever reached the palace before. "Father," Zayla said urgently, "let me help. Let us help." She gestured to Jack. Emperor Xorin laughed bitterly. "You? The weakest of our line. And this small creature." Another explosion, closer this time. The crystal doors to the throne room shattered as 6 Draken warriors burst in. They were massive, heavily armed, their weapons glowing red with deadly energy. The royal guards moved to protect the emperor, their skin hardening to armor. But the Draken fired strange weapons that bypassed the Lumerian armor, sending guards falling to the floor. "Stay back, father," Zayla said. She grabbed a staff from a fallen guard and moved toward the Draken. Jack stood beside her with a Lumerian weapon Commander Vex had given him on the journey. The nobles watched in horror as the small princess and the human faced the Draken warriors. The emperor tried to pull his daughter back, but she was already moving. Zayla flowed like water between the Draken attacks. Where other Lumerians would stand and fight with strength, she dodged. Where they would block, she redirected. Blue light flashed from her hands as she struck pressure points Jack had taught her. Jack moved with her, the two fighting as one team. When a Draken focused on Zayla, Jack would strike from behind. When Jack was in danger, Zayla would create an opening for him. The nobles watched in amazement as one Draken fell, then another. The princess they had dismissed as weak moved faster than any Lumerian warrior, striking with precision instead of brute force. When the last Draken fell, Zayla stood in the center of the throne room, breathing hard but unharmed. The room was silent with shock. General Laura, the Emperor's chief strategist, stepped forward. Her eyes moved from the fallen Draken to Zayla with new respect. "How did you do this?" she asked. "Their armor should be impenetrable to someone of your size." "Everything has a weak point," Zayla said. "Jack taught me to find them." She looked at her father. "Strength isn't everything, father. Sometimes it blinds you to other ways of fighting." Emperor Xorin stared at his daughter as if seeing her for the first time. "The Draken have changed their tactics," General Laura said to the Emperor. "Perhaps we must change ours as well." Outside, more explosions sounded. The battle for Lumeria was just beginning. 3 days had passed since the attack on the palace. In that time, Princess Zayla and Jack had trained a small group of Lumerian warriors in their hybrid fighting style. These warriors were not the biggest or strongest, but they were quick to learn. Remember, Zayla told them as they practiced in the palace courtyard, your enemy expects you to fight like traditional Lumerians. Surprise is your advantage. General Laura watched from the side, nodding with approval. She had convinced Emperor Xorin to let Zayla lead this special unit into battle. The Draken command ship has been located, Laura announced, approaching the group. It stays behind their lines, directing the attack. No one has been able to reach it. We can, Zayla said confidently. That night, Zayla stood with her father on the palace balcony. Below them, the beautiful crystal city burned in places where Draken weapons had struck. What you did in the throne room, Emperor Xorin said slowly. I have never seen fighting like that. Zayla looked up at her father. On Earth, I learned that my differences can be strengths. Jack showed me how to use what I have instead of mourning what I don't. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. Then he placed a heavy hand on her shoulder. Tomorrow, you will lead your unit against the Draken command ship, if you succeed. We will succeed, Father, Zayla said. Dawn broke with the sound of battle. Zayla's unit moved through the chaos of war, slipping past the main fighting. Jack stayed close to Zayla, wearing light Lumerian armor modified to fit his human frame. There, Zayla pointed to a massive ship hovering above the battlefield. The command ship. While the main Lumerian forces engaged the Draken army head-on, Zayla's team approached from below, using speed and stealth instead of direct assault. They reached the ship undetected and found a maintenance hatch Jack had identified from studying Draken ship designs. Inside, they moved silently through dark corridors. When Draken guards appeared, Zayla's warriors used their new fighting techniques, quick strikes at weak points, working in pairs to distract and disable. The bridge should be this way, Jack whispered, consulting a small map device General Laura had given them. As they approached the bridge, alarms suddenly blared. We've been detected, Zayla said. Move quickly. They fought their way through guards, advancing toward the heart of the ship. With each fight, the Lumerian warriors grew more confident in their new skills. Finally, they reached the bridge doors, massive barriers of metal and energy. We need to get through, Zayla said, examining the doors. Jack pointed to a control panel. If we redirect the energy flow, we might overload the lock. While Jack worked on the panel, more Draken guards arrived. Zayla and her warriors formed a defensive circle around him. Almost there, Jack called as his fingers moved across the alien controls. The doors slid open with a hiss. Inside, the Draken Supreme Commander stood at the center of the bridge. He was enormous, nearly 10 feet tall, with blood-red scales and eyes that burned with hate. The weak princess, he growled, recognizing Zayla. Your father sends his runt to die. Zayla stepped forward, her hands glowing with blue energy. I am Princess Zayla of Lumeria. I am not weak. I am different. The Supreme Commander laughed and drew his weapon, a massive energy blade that hummed with power. Zayla looked back at Jack, who nodded encouragingly. She remembered everything he had taught her. Use your speed. Find the weak points. Never fight on your enemy's terms. The commander charged, swinging his blade down with tremendous force. But Zayla wasn't there. She moved like water around him, striking at joints and pressure points. The commander roared in frustration, unable to land a blow on the fast-moving princess. Meanwhile, Jack and the other warriors disabled the bridge controls and fought the Draken crew. The ship began to shudder as systems failed. The Supreme Commander, enraged, made a final desperate attack. He swung his blade in a wide arc that would have cut Zayla in half if she hadn't anticipated it. She ducked under the swing and focused all her neural energy into her hand. With a precise strike to a nerve cluster Jack had identified, she brought the massive Draken to his knees. Surrender, she said, standing over him. The ship is ours. With the command ship captured and its communications disabled, the Draken forces fell into disarray. The Lumerian army, inspired by stories of the princess's victory, pushed forward with renewed strength. 3 days later, peace returned to Lumeria. In the throne room, Emperor Xoran called his daughter forward. "Princess Zayla," he said, his voice echoing through the hall, "you have saved our world, not with traditional Lumerian strength, but with a new kind of power.